Guitar first came about from 11 years old. Started some private lessons. I was opposite the Brighton High School there, and still remember his name, Greg Miller. Allowed to swear. Greg Miller, you bastard, if you're out there, he'll know what I mean. He'll laugh at that. The first couple of songs that got me into the electric guitar was an influence from the old man. He used to blast the old Queen, I Want to Break Free. That guitar solo for that, I was hooked on that, and I used to put myself to bed with the headphones in, replay that over and over, just that tone of that guitar I loved, and yeah, that's where the passion grew for the guitar. And the influences, I got my brother to thank quite a bit. He wasn't ever really into the instrumental, being a musician, but he picked up the bass after a few years. We had a running joke in the family by my old man. He said, why play 6 strings when you can get paid for playing 4? And that was our little joke in the family, but he pursued at that, and he was an absolute legend. He got me into the metal scene growing up, underground metal, hardcore influence scene, and he was actually broke into the straight edge scene quite a few years, 10 years straight edge, and that led to a lot of our shows opening for quite well-known bands. Shot Point Blank and Parkway Drive, they helped us out a lot on their tours. Day of Contempt and I Killed the Prom Queen was a big name. They helped us out a lot with opening shows and putting us on their Australian tours. Released a 3-track demo onto a 7-track EP, and then released a 12-track album on Resist Records. That was a Sydney-based label. We toured that around Australia, the East Coast, probably 4 times. Funny tour stories, probably leave that for another day. What happens on tour stays on tour. Yeah, some good memories back in the mid-20s. Our band name was Cry Murder. You can look that up. It was more MySpace back then, but certainly a few tracks on YouTube. Yeah, so I was a guitarist in that band. It was, we had a female second guitarist. We'd share the leads and harmonies around a lot. My brother and the guitarist ended up getting together, and they've been married 10 years now, and there's nothing better than being on tour with your own family. Female guitarists, we're a 5-piece metal band. Become one of the heaviest underground acts in Adelaide. Bit of the solo stuff, it's a bit of a different technique in writing, but we used to bounce off each other a lot within the band. The drummer would come up with a kick pattern, we'd follow that, or myself and the guitarist used to knuckle down a fair bit, write our riffs along with harmonies and share that. The bass line would come in, brother would do what he does best, and funny joke, he used to pick that hard. He used to have this muscle popping out of his hand there. We used to say it would be on the front cover of a muscle magazine one of these days, these heavy gauge strings, and yeah, some good jokes there. Yeah, I have been writing my own stuff, right back from the metal album, put in quite a contribution into those songs. Solo's been a bit of a more difficult path, obviously having to think of all the parts yourself, not really having other members to bounce off. I've always looked back to my years of piano when I'm on the old Casio keyboard. That was my great love for building layers with instruments. I could layer up to about 7 tracks on that keyboard, and that's what built a real love for composing music. Yeah, layering instruments has been my real passion. That's what I'm looking at doing into my original music. A bit of a country influence. Second guitars and resonator guitars, harmonica, mandolin even for high octaves. Most memorable performance within the band would be, we went on to a Sydney pushover festival, it was called. We could see the lineup miles down the street. There was 6,000 people in attendance, and that was up there with one of the greatest experience on the stage in front of that many people, and yeah, really built a tolerance to managing some nerves, and had the privilege to play a couple of festivals there. Dragonfly Festival was one of them, out in the country town there. Mate, the first gig, I got a few people to thank for that. A couple of the fellas that run the open mics, they handballed me a few gigs. They said, how many songs you got, Mike? I probably lied a bit. I didn't quite have as many as I should have to fill out it was a 2-hour set. Little cafe bar there, but managed to get through it, and that pushed me in a direction to build up my set list and continue to build up to 3 and 4 hours. Yeah, it's been a breath of fresh air coming into the music scene, from being a tradesman for 15 years. Had an absolute gutful by the end of it. My body started to have a few struggles on top of managing a sport with Muay Thai, competitive Muay Thai, and yeah, running myself into the ground a bit, and just trying to look for a way out. Music became of interest. Wasn't really looking at the money side of things at that point, more for my mental health. Taking a break from the trade work, investing a bit into myself. Throughout the COVID period is when I picked up some singing tutoring vocal coach. This was online, it was via Skype. Paul Sykes was his name, great fella. I stuck with that for a year straight. Those lessons led me on to starting my first open mic. Barely had probably 3 songs at that point in time, but from there pursued that for the next 8 months straight, once a week. Built quite a bit of experience from knuckling down at that, and soon 3 songs built to a full set, and that's where I was approached by a couple of the legends that run that, and offering my first gig. Very appreciative. A lot of thanks to those guys. And transitioning to the music whilst juggling the trade work has been my biggest challenge. Not having the amount of time to practice, working those hard long days. I'd get home covered in render, texture would take me an hour to scrub my hands up, and that transition to being able to manage both all in or is where I had to make the decision. I want to give this a good go, and it was a hard decision to make to tell the lads at work, but I knew be quite persistent at what I'm doing, and hopefully try break into another avenue of career. Most rewarding thing about turning up to work is just absolutely doing what you love doing, and I used to enjoy the trade work, but just separate me from my passion, a hard thing to get over. Just being able to pursue my work, doing what I enjoy, being able to come home, work on my songs. A lot goes into the practice and the hours behind the scenes, but it's still what you enjoy doing, so recommend that to anyone. Yeah, it's taken me a long trial and error with my original music. Seemed to be a bit of a writer's block, as most musicians would probably experience. Keep knuckling away, and I've come to a point I'm quite happy with an original I've written, looking at getting that recorded professionally. It's along the country type of scene, multiple instruments and include. Write a fair bit of that in my own little studio I've built. Yeah, a lot of the good mates I've made from the open mic scene. We catch up a fair bit, collaborate, and I believe when you're hanging around that vibe and those people that can really drive you to picking up new ideas and learning things off other people, the more you sit and isolate yourself, I think it's a big step up to collaborating with people to what will come out in yourself, learning. Social media, I've tried my best into promoting myself as far as exposure and getting onto gigs. Tried my best to promote myself using the platforms there, Instagram and Facebook. I do look back at a few of the videos I've made and think, what am I doing? I hate the sound of my voice, but I think looking back at what you have, where you have come from, I really believe is a big thing. Along with the vocal coaching, I used to simulate other artists, like say if you're singing Elvis, you tend to simulate his voice rather than find your own voice, but over that period of time things start to filter out and you become to find yourself. Where I see myself in 5 to 10 years, I've always strived very highly, try to be at the top, and this was throughout my fighting days. I've got that mentality, and I've got the Muay Thai background to thank for that. I've always tried to pursue something and be the best I can. A lot of work to do, but yeah, with my original music, learning the recording process and knuckle down on my particular sound, I really strive to be up there and producing some good quality music. Yeah, the advice I'd give to anyone up and coming, get out to the open mic nights. It's a great way to kill the nerves. Nerve-wracking couple of shots there, but as you pursue, you just become to feeling more natural. It's an awkward feeling up there, almost an out-of-body experience. It's like we experienced when we used to fight, just that adrenaline, tend to rush things a bit. It all starts to come together the more you stick at it, so commit to at least once a week, I'd say, and that'll push you to writing, learning more covers. Once you get a couple of songs under your belt, you'll be striving to add to that list more and more. Yeah, I'd like to just throw my name in there, LOY, I go by the name. That's come about with a bit of my mental health struggle growing up and having the courage to continue. I've always been a humble person, and just, yeah, that's coming out in my music, I believe.